What is the difference between the standard brochure product, travel insurance, that a client can get either on our website or with us in the office, or when they pay with a credit card for their flights, they get free travel insurance? What's the difference between those two?
Okay, so basically, let's just start from the beginning. Brite Insurance Company Limited offers a product called travel insurance. And in this travel insurance, it's split into two divisions or two departments. We've got the standard Brite product, which is totally underwritten by Brite, and it's a 100% Brite product. And then we've got our clients, the banks, which we partnered up with. And we'll go through the banks a bit later. But we've partnered up with them, and we made a specialist product for their clients. So part of it is a USP, a unique selling point for the bank. When they use their credit card and specific qualifying credit cards that is used, they then qualify for free automatic insurance. Some banks call it automatic insurance, other banks call it basic insurance or complementary insurance. But that is a sample insurance, which normally generally just covers medical cover at an excess, and then you can purchase a top-up cover to add additional cover to that product. Where the Brite product itself is a totally comprehensive product as a whole. And then we've got levels of cover there as well. As a bank client, you qualify for the free insurance when you use the qualifying card, as mentioned before, or you can purchase a top-up. Or alternatively, if you didn't use your card, you can still purchase the bank product as a standalone product at the negotiated preferred bank rates. What's the difference between the two? The one is a bank product, which gives the client of the bank a beneficial rate. The limits are limited to 15 million on the top-up maximum. Senior is generally 5 million, and then you'll get your exclusive senior, which gives you another R1,000,000 on top of that. Goes up to 89 years of age. Where your brochure product or the exclusive or 100% Brite product, that will go up to 100 million rand for up to 69 years old. Also 5 million seniors, golden years, and then also exclusive seniors gives you R1,000,000. So the cover levels are different, hence the pricing is different. Pricing is based on volumes through the bank, negotiated with the bank. So it's a little bit cheaper with the bank, but then the limits are also a little bit less than what you can get from the brochure product. Total comprehensive product is always the brochure product, but do not take anything away from the bank product. It's a very comprehensive product.
And we can still offer the top-ups in our office for the bank product as well. It doesn't have to be done through the bank.
So in line with the banks has partnered with, or most of the banks has partnered with Brite. So we handle the insurance side of it. And also if you had to contact the bank as a bank client, you actually come through to our call center. So the call center sits in the Brite office or the Brite sphere, and we give all the financial advice and the sales on that side. Because it sits with us, the banks have given us permission to also use the travel agencies yourself as a distribution line, and therefore you can offer the actual bank product within the store. The client is not beneficial or going through the call center to us. It's exactly the same product issued from exactly the same system.
Fantastic. Okay. So another question we often get, Derek, is if clients have medical insurance through a local insurance company, then they feel that they do not need travel insurance because they've got medical cover for international travel. And that's a fair point, but what do they perhaps miss, or what don't they notice?
All right, so we cannot talk about the medical aid insurance because of the Medical Aids Act. So medical aid insurance or medical aid offer an insurance product. The Medical Aids Act dictate that insurance product must go through a short-term insurance or the short-term license. So a lot of the medical aids, who is licensed as a medical aid, is also licensed as a short-term insurer on two different sets of licenses, and then they offer that. But they are limited to a limit on that offering on the medical aid because they're a medical aid client. What the core purpose of travel insurance is, and always was, is medical cover whilst abroad. So we don't dictate like a medical aid what we cover in terms of limits or specific procedures or things like that. The core purpose of travel insurance is to cover you in a case of an emergency, medical emergency, or cover the related expenses to that in medical emergency abroad. So if something had to happen overseas, and it was within the law, so for instance you're in a car accident, you were the driver of the vehicle, you weren't under the influence of alcohol, then we'll cover up to the limit of our policy. There's no other limitations as cardio or whatever the case might be. The policy itself is underwritten under the Short-Term Insurance Act, not under the Medical Aids Act.
Okay.
So it's a short-term policy. A lot of people do come through to us and say, well, can we take away the medical cover? We want the cancellation cover only. Unfortunately, the core purpose of travel insurance is medical cover. All the other benefits that we add is to give meat to the bone. So we do see a need for cancellation cover. We do see a need for baggage cover. However, those are generally also covered by your airlines under cancellation and refunds that you can get from your airlines, your hotel providers, accommodation providers, transfer companies. The same with baggage. Technically, your baggage should be covered in your all risk. We just add meat to our bone to the policy to make the policy really attractive and value for money. To the extent that that is now your core purpose. That's why people actually now purchase more and more. A travel insurance policy is to cover the cancellation cost, is to cover the baggage cost rather than the medical cost. But it is a pre-underwritten product and it forms part of a package.
Yeah. So that brings us to the cancellation cover, because I think that's kind of what, in my opinion, that's one of the most important elements of travel insurance. Of course, the medical, I mean, that goes without saying, but cancellation cover, I think, is also very important and often overlooked.
Definitely. I think when a client comes into your offices and purchases a tour, the first thing that they do is they're actually purchasing a memory. They're not taking a car home or a vase or a glass home, which they can see every day. They're purchasing a memory. And to safeguard that memory, they're putting money down, and then they're going to go on it and they're going to bring back pictures and a memory, and that's all they're going to bring back. But if you cannot go on that tour, the financial implication which they put down up front, that needs to be safeguarded under the cancellation cost. So a lot of the tour operators, airlines, hotel accommodation providers, they offer a cancellation clause and will say X amount of money will be refunded in case of a valid cancellation. But the non-refundable portion, that's where the travel insurance comes in, to put you back into the position you were prior to you purchasing the policy. There is obviously excesses applicable, that's the standard, and the excess is very little, it's 500 Rand. But if you are purchasing a 150,000 Rand tour, or a 70,000 Rand tour, or even a 30,000 Rand tour, and the cancellation cost is 50%, and a 50,000 Rand tour, that's 25,000 Rand.
Yeah.
I cannot part with 25,000 Rand easily.
Yeah.
So for a mere 1,000 Rand policy, you can safeguard that 25,000 Rand.
Absolutely. And so it's also then very important, or we like to stress to our clients that it's important to take out the unnamed cancellation cover. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Right, so unnamed cancellation cover has come into play just before COVID. It's cancellation cover which is not named, or reasons that's not named in the terms and conditions. So it could be pretty much a lot of reasons. For instance, you've got work commitments. So in the policy wording, under the standard policy, if you're a working person and you've taken leave and you've now booked your tour or your holiday, the policy says we will, or the exclusion says that if your company has cancelled your leave, they are the cause of your loss. Therefore, they need to be held liable. So they need to reimburse you. And that's a standard procedure. Generally, they don't do it. And in the case they do it, the companies will reimburse. So it's an excluded event under the policy, under most travel insurance policies. So if you cannot travel due to work commitments, that's excluded. We won't pay for that. However, we have seen that a lot of companies have now gone the other route, and also with COVID, there's a cancellation cost involved, and they won't reimburse you. So the unnamed or the unnamed cancellation for unnamed reason offers that benefit to you. There is still exclusions under the unnamed. It's not any reason. Any reason means anything. And we specifically cannot call it any reason because there is specific exclusions in there. So for instance, where an airline is bankrupt, there's a legal recourse through the Companies Act, where anybody that's owed money by the airline must apply as a creditor. And therefore, that legal recourse needs to come into play first before the policy can come. We do have a benefit, insolvency benefit, but if it's cancelled due to insolvency and there's a cancellation fee or money lost there, you need to register as a creditor. And whatever the shortfall is there, we will look under the section that deals with insolvency, not cancellation. So, and that's a legal principle that we need to look at. So that's why under unnamed reason cancellation cover, there is still exclusions like, for instance, insolvency.
But I think that we've seen that obviously within the policy wording and with all the exclusions in the policy wording, it's still absolutely worthwhile to have the unnamed cancellation cover.
It is, because if something had to happen with you on a personal level where it's not a covered event and you decide you cannot go, the airline is clearly going to impose the cancellation cost. And therefore, we would pay the 100% of that amount up to the limit of the policy if you decide that you're not going to travel, pretty much. So if the cancellation cost is 25, as mentioned before, you've taken the 30,000 Rand cancellation benefit at the additional premium within the specific time frame that it needs to be taken out on. You submit the claim. It's pretty much, we look at it, what is your reason? It's not an excluded event. It's now under unnamed cancellation reason, and we'll pay up to 30,000. So the 25 less the 500 Rand excess.
Yeah. So therefore, it's also really important that the client ensures that they insist on taking out travel insurance within 48 hours of paying their initial deposit or buying their first flight ticket or whatever the first payment towards their holiday is.
Yeah. So with the principle in insurance was always, when you purchase your package, or when you part with your money or start parting with your money, that's always been the principle, is to take out insurance, because you do not know what tomorrow holds. So if I pay a 5,000 Rand deposit to Seagull Tours today for a tour, tomorrow I'm in a car accident and I cannot travel, your 5,000 Rand is non-refundable. The insurance company would have covered it under named insurance, under the standard basic named insurance anyway, because it's a medical reason. So yes, that's the principle. Now, a lot of people said, we'll take it a week before. So if I pay my 5,000 Rand deposit today, I'm in a car accident tomorrow, and I'm medically unfit to travel, I lose my 5,000 because I have not taken a policy. Yeah. So that's always been the principle. But with unnamed, with named, you can take it at any time, and whatever happens after you've taken the policy, you'll be covered for. With unnamed, because it's a bigger risk, you can make a choice not to travel. Yeah. The risk is much bigger, so you need to take it within a certain time, which is 48 hours with your brochure product and 24 hours with the bank. You just always remember that. So the banks, because it's cheaper and a little bit less expensive, there's also stricter rules in place. So 48 hours with our product, 24 hours with the bank product, of you making your first payment, so deposit or whatever the case might be. So, but you will be covered for the full amount if you had to pay 2 weeks later, 5 weeks later, towards the trip, a third or fourth or fifth payment up until the full payment is made. So once you've made the full payment, or if you've made 75% of the payment and you have a claim, then we'll cover the full amount, 100%. That is a huge benefit from Brite compared to our competitors out there.
Yeah, so I definitely want to reiterate and stress that the clients need to take responsibility for this and ensure that they take out the unnamed cancellation cover within 24 if it's the bank, or 48 hours if it's through us or our website, as soon as they've made their first payments. Okay. So Derek, which banks are part of Brite?
All right, so Brite has contracted or partnered with Nedbank. Nedbank runs the pure Nedbank program, the American Express program, and the SA Voyager program. ABSA, which runs ABSA, Woolworths, Standard Bank and Diners Club, and then Investec. Okay. So those are the banks or the card programs that we do underwrite. And any of those cards, if it's a qualifying card, which is validated through the system, as you know, can be done through the travel agency. If you didn't use the card, especially our older folk, they go on a tour, they were sponsored by their family member. Family member sits in Australia, buys a ticket for them from Australia with the HSBC card or Australian bank card. Because they're still a client of that bank, they can still purchase the standalone top-up, or the top-up or additional cover at a standalone option. They just don't qualify for the free automatic complementary basic cover.
So that's great news. Even if you pay your tour through via EFT, or if someone else pays it for you, we always recommend the top-up anyway, and you can still get the top-up as well. Yeah. So
definitely, and I do urge people to take advantage of this benefit that the banks has made available to us. It is a giving back from the bank, so you're getting insurance from the bank or the banks at their preferred rates without using the qualifying card. The only negative is you do not get the free cover or the complimentary automatic cover if you EFT, paid cash, or somebody else sponsored a ticket for you.
Great. But the top-up's still there.
It is there. The top-up also offers the unnamed insurance cover.
Okay.
There's specific top-ups. So it's generally where there's a top-up 1, 2, or 3, it will be the highest of the 3 that will allow it. But you guys, you'll tell the clients as soon as at that stage comes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Then the last question. If you are traveling and you're going skiing with your kids, or maybe you're in Thailand and you want to rent a scooter, or you're in Mauritius and you're on a catamaran, you get the scenario that I'm trying to sketch. What are the kind of things that you need to be aware of in terms of travel insurance?
Okay, so if you are going to travel and you're going to partake in adventure sports, adventure activities, or sports or hazardous pursuits, I do urge you to familiarize yourself with the exclusions in the policy wording. There is specific exclusions in the policy wording which we do not cover. For instance, hunting or any activity that involves firearms, ammunition is excluded. I think it's self-explanatory. Okay. A bullet goes through you, you can't change that. Yeah. There's other activities that we do cover, but it's limited. So most of our policies on the brochure as well as on the banks do offer sports and hazardous pursuits extension under the medical clause. So if you do get injured while skiing, and that goes out right up to black slopes on our policy, the policy will cover you under that section, which is a sports and hazardous pursuit. The cover is not the full 100 million rand cover on our premier product, for instance, but it gives you up to 2 million rand cover because of the risk involved in skiing. There is certain limitations, so it will cover for medical emergencies and related expenses, but it does exclude sprains and strains. Sorry. The reason for that is it happens. It happens 9 out of 10 times. So it's a strain, it's a sprain. Live with it, put ice on it, get it right, but the policy won't respond to that. But so also just familiarize yourself with it. There is exclusions. So if you're going to partake in helicopter skiing, for instance, that's excluded. Where you jump out of a helicopter onto you've seen the movies and the adverts of it.
You're going to be James Bond.
Yes. So there is a certain amount of risk we will cover, but we do also expect you to take certain responsibility and care.
Okay. And am I correct in saying that you also need to ensure that you are dealing with a registered service provider? So for instance, if you want to go on a catamaran somewhere on an island, make sure that person works through a registered company. That is a registered company.
It's always recommended, yes. Okay. It is always recommended. But if you're going to go to Thailand and you're going to go into a longboat, for instance, I mean, I've been to Thailand, you've been to Thailand. So you're going to get onto a longboat. You're not going to ask the guy for his credentials. You're going to negotiate a price and you're going to get onto the longboat. If that longboat tips over or something does happen, the policy will respond because you are not the cause of it. Okay. But if you, for instance, rent a scooter in Thailand, which we all do, or in India, there is certain clauses of the policy that says if you do partake in participating in riding or driving two-wheeled motor vehicles, you need to be in possession of a specific license that qualifies you in South Africa to drive that motorcycle. If you do not have that license, we will not cover you that side because technically you do not have the expertise and the training and the qualification to do that. Regardless of what they say in Thailand, you can do and not do. So the policy says you have to have a license to operate that vehicle. You have to take care. So yes, we all wear helmets, but in Thailand and in India, it's free for all. A lot of people don't. If you don't wear a helmet, as per the policy wording, we will not cover you. Okay. So it comes back in, the risk is bigger, but we do also expect you to take due care of that and make sure that all the safety requirements are also adhered to. Not just that side, but how you would have done it here in South Africa as well. Good. So that's the big thing for us. So yes, we will cover those activities. There is certain extra rules that you just need to comply with and make sure you're aware of it. And then just stick to the rules. Safety first.
Okay. Thanks, Derek. So I think the takeaway from this for me is definitely that insurance, as always, travel insurance is a non-negotiable. You have to have travel insurance. The client needs to take responsibility in terms of when they take out the travel insurance after their first payment, as well as making sure that they understand the policy wording. So, and when I say that, I mean in terms of things like sports or wearing helmets, etc. It's really, really important, as well as to know what's covered and what's not covered.
Yes,
So,
just familiarize yourself with it. I mean, it is a big document like any contract and or agreement. So a lot of people will say, "Oh, I didn't know." But if you are going to partake in skiing, go read the skiing section, the hazardous pursuit section. Just make sure what is covered in skiing, what is not. Yes, we do cover a lot, black slopes, etc., or motorcycling, or playing rugby or cricket or those kind of little things. So just make sure that it is. And if you're not sure, you can always contact Brite as a FSP direct. We are licensed, so we can give you advice and intermediary services as per the Act. We'll give you the right answers to it or them to it. The big thing for us with travel insurance is, and it goes back to the old saying when I was a travel consultant, is if you cannot afford to travel, if you cannot afford travel insurance, you cannot afford to travel. And it's funny, we're willing to spend 100,000 Rand on a memory, but not add 2,000 Rand to safeguard that memory.
That's very true.
And it's sad because we've seen people who I've sat in stores with clients and they go, "Oh, it's too expensive." And then they are the ones that end up with a $50,000 medical bill. And they can't afford it and they have to auction their house off.
Sure.
So it is the old saying going, if you cannot afford travel insurance, you cannot afford to travel. And that's the truth though.
Yeah. Derek, thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
Thank you for always being willing to answer our clients' questions, as you and Brite are FSPs and we as travel agents are not. So we're not here to give advice.
Definitely.
Yeah, so thank you very, very much. You have always just been our go-to guy, so thank you.
It's a pleasure and happy to be here.